Good morning, everyone, and everyone online. Welcome to the September 20th Planning Commission. Before we get started, the director is going to read a preamble.
We're hoping the tech issues hold off for our hearing today, so fingers crossed everybody.
We can go back to analog. It used to be analog.
Did used to be a thing.
We used to have boards.
That's right. In compliance with notification requirements of Ohio's open meeting law and section 101.021 of the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the city planning department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Recusals from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote in order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting has the opportunity to be heard. We ask that use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you, and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. All meeting activities being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube. All requests to speak on a particular matter submitted through proper channels have been considered. We've also received emails from those who have provided written comment on a particular matter. Proper channels for comments are listed below. Communication with members of this body must follow proper channels for consideration. Any comments received by the Wednesday 12 p.m. deadline are collected by city planning staff and disseminated to the commission members prior to any scheduled meeting. Listed below are the proper channels for public comments: sending an email to the city planning email address, calling or leaving a message at our phone line, sending a letter, or dropping off comments at City Hall. For those who are new to our meetings, this is the rules and procedures of how we'll proceed through each agenda item. The chair will call each agenda item, and then each applicant will be invited to proceed through their presentation. Each presentation should be completed prior to questions and comments from the commission in order to facilitate a smooth presentation. Once the presentation is concluded, the chair will ask planning staff to summarize design review committee recommendations if applicable and any public comments received. The deadline for public comments has been noted before. Any comments received by the deadline will be placed in the Dropbox for the commission members to review. Staff will also identify any members of the public present and scheduled to speak. Public comment is allowed at the discretion of the chair, and any individual providing public comment is permitted 2 minutes to speak to the agenda item in which they are. The chair will request a recommendation from staff. If applicable, the commission will begin deliberations and project review. Any commission member except the chair may make a motion at any point after an agenda item has been called. These are the commission members, and we will proceed to roll call.
Anthony,
Present.
Luther, Carrie,
Present.
McCray Scott,
Present.
Sergeant,
Present.
and Slight. Present. I'm sure you have more.
In the forum. First item is the minutes from the September 6th meeting. To approve them. We have had them in advance. There's a copy here if anyone needs them. But we need a motion from the previous meeting. I think the councilmen weren't here. I was there, but so we saw the quorum.
Madam Chair, makes a motion to approve minutes.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Call the roll.
Sergeant,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
Luker, not present. Carrie,
Yep.
McCray Scott,
Yes.
and Slight.
Abstains.
All right, motion carried. First item is actually a zoning matter. So zoning matters are a public hearing. The way that we handle zoning public hearings is that first we hear from the staff. Then we'll hear from any of the owners or proponents, those who have submitted the zoning matter. Then we'll open it up for public comment. We'll take first those in favor of the zoning change, and then we'll take opponents in either section. If anyone just has a question, we can take that as well. We ask that when we call you, state your name and address clearly, address the chair, and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Then we'll close the public portion and allow the commissioners to deliberate. So the first one is in the Far West Design Review Region. And that's all that it says on our thing.
I will just give a brief intro
Okay.
before Nate begins. So as commission members, we saw this as an informational presentation last meeting. This is something that the staff have been working collaboratively with council members and the CDCs on, and Nate will go into much more detail. I do want to note that there are 3 map changes, so we will have to take 3 different motions. Vote on that.
And will they be 3 different ordinances?
It will be 3 different ordinances.
Okay. We'll make note of that as you go. Or kind of point out.
Yes. Great. So good morning, commission members. My name is Nate Wall. I'm the Far West City Planner. Today I'm presenting 3 map changes for your approval. 2683, 2684, and 2685. So we'll start with 2683, which is, just to give a little bit of context about the area we're speaking about today. This is in the far west region of the city. So these are in the Detroit Shoreway, Dell, and Edgewater neighborhoods, as well as what the West 117 design review district. So the first proposal that we're looking at here is to add parcels along Detroit Avenue from West 116th Street to West 107th Street to an existing design review district known as the West 117th Design Review District. This will be contiguous with the existing design review district, and the purpose of this is to grant oversight for Far West Design Review and City Planning Commission for all exterior changes and demolitions along commercial corridors. It's also to protect and preserve urban fabric that is closest to our commercial and transit corridors in the city. So a little bit about the process and how we got here. And this is pretty much the same for all 3 districts, so I don't believe it's one on the. But we assessed our existing design review districts in the Far West region. We drafted new maps for districts where we felt there were existing gaps in design review. We had a meeting amongst staff and with the director to provide staff input. We met with the council person in each ward and CDC in each ward, and at least notified them and asked for their feedback on the changes. We also had a public comment period posted on our city planning website where the design review presentations were uploaded. We had the information only presentation at our last city planning meeting on September 6th. We did a meeting with, I realize I'm reading it backwards, but it's on there. We also had a meeting with the Far West Design Review Committee to get their input and their blessing essentially to add these changes, and then incorporate that feedback from the design review committee. And today we are at the City Planning Commission vote, September 20th. And after this, it'll go to City Council for the hearing. So for this first district here, the yellow on the map is what exists already as a design review district. That's the West 117th design review district. The red is where we have existing local landmarks districts, and the purple is where we are considering adding parcels to the design review district already. So it's really adding to the West 117th district from basically West 116th Street to West 107th Street. And then I'll just walk through some context photos of the neighborhood to show you the types of buildings that we're looking at. So starting from west, basically, these types of buildings, these 2 to 3-story commercial buildings with ground floor retail and apartments or offices above, pretty typical of the corridor. These are the types of buildings that really have vibrancy that we desire in the city and add eyes on the street, essentially, and the types of buildings we want to protect and preserve in commercial corridors. We also have some institutional buildings here. We have a few churches, a few residential apartment buildings that are larger. Again, just some examples of the historic structures on the streets. I believe on the right, that's a funeral home, and on the left, is a church that's been recently actually restored, it's in use now. So here at West 112th Street, again, typical corridor, two to 3 story buildings, some walk-up apartment buildings that we thought were pretty neat and wanted to capture in this design redistrict. And really the purpose of that is to make sure that somebody couldn't, tomorrow go out and decide they want to demolish this building because it's a liability to them. And we want to make sure that we have that oversight to say, in this case, no, or yes, but essentially we want to make sure that we have the oversight to actually provide that input onto whether these types of buildings are demolished in our city, because they provide a lot of really good benefits in terms of the architecture and walkability of the neighborhood, as well as providing some naturally occurring affordable housing. So continuing east in the district here, we're at West 110th Street and Detroit Avenue. I believe these are, again, just mixed use buildings and some townhomes that are made to look, I think, like sort of like slot buildings, but pretty unique and really add to the character of the district as well. And lastly, at the end of the district here, we have some more residential buildings, but they are, again, some larger apartment buildings. We felt like we want to make sure that these buildings are protected and preserved because they're really unique and add a lot to the district. And so that is essentially the Detroit Avenue expansion of the West 117th Design Redistrict. We have letters of support. I have copies of these here too. You want to take a look at them. From Councilman Spencer for the creation of the West 117th, or the expansion of the district, and from Northwest Neighborhoods as well for the expansion of the district. So I'll pause there if there's any questions, or if you need to think.
I guess unless there's any clarifying questions before we open it up. Obviously, the sponsor of this is the council people, is that correct?
That's correct.
And obviously they're in support, so you're speaking for them. So let's open it up first and then we'll put in an additional question. Is there anybody either here or online? And if you're online, just raise your hand. Who'd like to speak in favor of this zoning text amendment? Is there anybody here who's opposed or has a question? So we'll close the public portion. And ask commission members if there's any discussion or questions or thoughts. And once again, we'll need 3 motions. And I think if I heard you correctly, 2683, 2684, and 2685.
That's correct.
This is 2683.
Yes.
Right.
I just have a general question. In that first stage where you and your colleagues were assessing, I guess this is more for like city at large, not just these specific map changes that we're proposing. Is there a plan to make an assessment to see other districts where they want to incorporate certain parcels into specific design area?
I think generally speaking, these types of expansions or subtractions from design new districts would typically come from the neighborhood planner taking assessment. So that's, I basically looked at where are there gaps in our districts, where are commercial buildings unprotected, and really started the conversation there at the staff level. So I believe that would typically come from the neighborhood planner.
Okay, just generally, I mean, I guess like just speculators who invest, be unfortunately experience like other cities. I think it's a great process to go through and.
I do maybe step Molly back. Is that something you would like to see considered for the other planners?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great process. There's so much of our city that we protect, right? And so I think just uniformity and how we're going about that, I think is really helpful. Particularly as we think ahead, director, just the future planning and how do we maintain the integrity of what we already have. Thank you.
As an aside, this is a little, when I first moved to Cleveland 25 years ago, I made an offer on one of the. Yes. Turned to condos right there, and, in the purple area, and, I came to the city on a city planner on the side, I did say, personally did, as a consultant, master plan for this section of the street. So it took 20+5 years. Okay, that's good.
I think we can accomplish the next 25.
Also, whatever you do, make sure you save mine.
Yes, I have the drawings. So true story.
Yeah.
So
Put it in the
Better
files.
late than never.
I'll just say that I think this is great. This is a cool little look on Detroit. I think also it's worth spending some time to think through. It's pretty light traffic compared to kind of further east on Detroit. So I think that there's some opportunities here to kind of lean into this as a district. As there's sort of this dead zone. It's almost isolated from the rest of Cleveland because of the railroads and stuff like that. And I'd love for there to be a deeper branding because I think I share with Councilwoman Spencer a frustration that parts of our neighborhood frequently get mistaken as being Lakewood. And this is one of them, so that we can really dive into this as a proud Cleveland district and maybe get rid of that confusion, even though the street signs are blue and there shouldn't be any. That would be great. So I'll move through.
We have a motion to approve 2683
Second.
and a second. I'll call the roll.
Anthony,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
McCray, Scott. She's on mute. Excuse me, McCray, Scott, I think you're on mute.
I just.
Get a thumbs up.
Items.
McKnight. She's not on. Hey, motion approved.
Wait, you forgot.
Sergeant and Slade.
Sorry, Sergeant Slide. Yeah, that's where I got the first and second. Sergeant Slide.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carried. Thank you. So we'll go on to 2684.
Okay, so this is, I've changed 2684. This is, removing residential parcels from the existing design redistrict that we were just talking about, the West 117th design redistrict. These streets, West 121st, 120th, 119th, Arden, Triscuit, Cloverdale, and West 116th Street are all residential streets. And the purpose of this is really to, twofold, to eliminate administrative burden and reduce the number of steps a residential property owner has to take to get a permit. Examples of this can be roof, siding, windows, porches, and fencing. And to really make it easier and simplify the permitting process for homeowners and residents in the city. So here's a map here in the cyan blue color. We're showing what is the existing design redistrict. And in the red are all the parcels that will be removed from the design redistrict. So you can see there, Triscuit Avenue and West 116th Street in the area around Triscuit Avenue are all residential. We'll show that in a second here. I also pulled some existing data from our building and housing database to look at what types of permits were being pulled in this area, to kind of get a feeling for if this is what we might call like an endangered area or an area where we're seeing a lot of homes that are being restored or rehabbed. So from 2015 to 2023, we either issued or approved 52 exterior permits, 33 of which were alterations such as a porch or an addition to a house. There were 5 violation corrections, only 2 main structure demolitions. So those would be, houses being demolished essentially. 7 new fences and 3 new garages were added. So there's not a ton of permits being pulled, but with only 2 demolitions, I don't think that we feel like this area is really in major peril or anything like that. It's a pretty, there's a lot of really nice houses in this area, and we want to make it easier for these homeowners and residents to get permits and not have to come to us to ask if they can re-roof their house, because we don't, of course, we want to re-roof their house, right? Like we don't want to hold up that process at all. So they should be able to get a permit same day when they're coming in.
Just to put a finer note on that, we discussed this a little bit last time, but when we'll submit a permit to building and housing that day, if it's a walk-in, then they have to walk over to planning, see if the planner's around. You have to sign off. If the planner's not around, then they have to wait while they get the permit. And then they have to go back to building and housing. That just is a step that overcomplicates things when it's a simple porch or a house, roof, siding. We want to see those things happen, so we don't want to your point, Nate, hold them on that.
Exactly. So starting here, just showing some context in the streets we're talking about. So this first one is between Triscuit and West 117th Street. And this is Triscuit Avenue, again, entirely residential neighborhood here, really just some duplexes, single family homes. West 116th Street, this is behind West 117th Street. Again, context is very typical of Cleveland neighborhoods, single family homes, doubles, small apartment buildings. Moving north on the corridor, this is another part of West 116th Street, between Franklin Boulevard and Madison Avenue. There's a couple of smaller apartment buildings here in pretty good condition, and yeah, typical Cleveland neighborhood here. Further down on West 116th Street,
And 17th.
might be a little behind here. There we go. Again, just a residential street in Cleveland. So I did want to point out here that after talking with the councilperson, Jenny Spencer, we decided that a couple of sort of larger buildings on West 116th Street between Detroit Avenue and Clifton Boulevard should remain in the district, again, to preserve the historic character of the neighborhood and to provide accountability of these buildings for exterior changes. So you'll see these here. These are being removed from the district. And then the next slide will show a couple of buildings that we thought should remain. That's essentially the proposal. Again, removing residential parcels from design review. We felt that it was an unfair burden that is typically only placed on commercial districts. We really want to simplify the process. Questions? Oh, and this is the letter of support from Colin Kelly.
Kelly's work,
That last one would have been.
both of them,
Yes.
Yeah. season 4 too.
Yes.
Okay, so let's open it up, to, anyone, online or here who would like to speak in favor of this zoning map amendment and or has a question. Okay, anybody, who is opposed to the zoning matter? Close the public portion.
I think it makes sense to pull houses out of design review districts, especially if it's for kind of routine permits. Maybe the landmarks districts is what's right for housing. I think that the thing worth discussing is, so for example, on Rock River Drive, someone pulled a permit to demolish a home, but it's in the design review district, so theoretically, people can now demolish their home, and that might not be what we would prefer. So maybe the point of conversation is, like, should we have a larger conversation about, do we need to pull residences fully out of the district, or do we need to sort of like just automatically exempt residences from all or some permits, and maybe building and housing can have like administrative authority to sign off without having a firm planner. So I think that there's a conversation to be had there, but certainly not opposed to this map change.
I agree with you about landmarks. Even a lot of landmarks. There've been adaptive reuse of those property, and so it's a different situation. It's a really nice distinction between, you know, you think about Willow's, for example, the chunk of those houses that converted is a different situation, and you want them in, but then this is a very different situation, but I agree.
I'll move approval of map change 1684.
Second.
Question on second, call the roll.
Anthony,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
McCray Scott,
yes,
Sergeant,
Yes.
and Slight.
Yes.
One super loud yes. All right, the last one is 2685.
Okay, so map change 2685 is the creation of a new design review district known as the Lorraine Antiques Design Review District. This is in Councilman Spencer's ward. And this district will run on Lorraine Avenue between West 83rd Street and West 61st Place. Again, the purpose of this is to grant oversight to our design review and city planning commission for all exterior changes to buildings and demolitions in our commercial corridors and protect and preserve our urban boundary. And the process is essentially the same as I described in the first presentation. We started with a assessment of our existing districts, talked with staff, councilperson, and CDC, got their support and feedback, presented this at design review, and incorporated their feedback, and then did an information only presentation here a few weeks ago. Posted these presentations online for public comment, and today we're here for a vote. So the boundaries here, you can see on the map, the red is where existing landmarks districts are. So obviously a lot of Ohio City and Detroit Shoreway are landmarks districts. But there's sort of this gap on Lorraine Avenue right now between I-90 to the west and basically the railroad tracks to the east where there's no oversight for any exterior changes to buildings. And you can see that new district that we're proposing. So here's just a closer up view. To the far east is West 61st Place and the RTA Rapid Station at West 65th. And to the far west is the western edge of the district is essentially the Cleveland Public Library, Lorraine branch at West 83rd and Lorraine. And I'll just walk through some context of the corridor. So again, starting at West 83rd and Lorraine, moving east, we have historic structures. Fun fact, the Lorraine branch of the CPL library is not landmarked currently, so they obviously just did a great renovation there. They're not looking to demolish it, but it could have been demolished by right in the past. Moving a little bit west or east on the corridor, at West 80th and Lorraine, we have, again, these mixed-use buildings that provide small businesses in our neighborhoods. They provide housing above or office above. We really need to protect and preserve these buildings. They're really important for all the things that we talked about: walkability, transit, all those great things. So I wanted to stop here and point out a street view from 2014 on Lorraine Avenue. This is just west of West 73rd Street. And you can see on the left there, or photo number 3, there were 4 buildings here that would have been typical to Lorraine Avenue, 2-story buildings, providing some neat architectural character to the street. By 2022 and today, only one of those buildings remains essentially. Everything else has been demolished or turned into parking. So this is the type of development that we're hoping to protect against, demolition of buildings for more parking within reason. Moving east on the corridor, West 73rd and Lorraine, see the existing Social Security Administration building and a commercial building on the south side of the street. You can also see the existing post office. I believe this is another historic structure that might not be landmarked, but I'm not sure about that. And then West 65th and Lorraine Avenue is really 2-story. But these would all be typical of Lorraine Avenue along the strip. And then at the eastern end of the district, we have Zone Rec Center, and we have West 61st in Lorraine, which is home to, I believe, Aspen Place Apartments, with an affordable housing development constructed by Northwest neighborhoods, right next to the transit station. And so these types of buildings, we would review any sort of new construction like this anyways, but again, the main purpose of this is to make sure that we are being responsible with all exterior changes to buildings. That's sort of the overview of the district. We have a letter of support from the councilman for the creation of the new design review district. We also have a letter of support that I believe you have a copy of from Northwest support or for support for creation.
So we'll open it up to anyone in favor of the zoning change? Anybody online? Seeing none. Anybody opposed to the zoning change? Close the public portion. Any other comment?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did see a Keith Hayes unmute himself. I don't see a hand raised, so I don't know
Yeah.
if he's in support of.
Yes, I'm a property owner. I own the building at 7948 Lorraine, and the area has been in pretty rough shape. I was glad to see the library come forth, but just recently my building was broken into, so I am in full support of extra investment in what I believe is a very a neighborhood and a street with great potential.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thanks for showing up today. Anybody else? I'm sorry about the breaking.
But that's okay. It always happens when there, neighborhoods that are in transition. But I'm really grateful to the city and the councilman for investing in this area.
We appreciate it. Okay, I'll close the public portion.
I saw somebody from CPL with their hand raised.
I think they were just clapping in
Oh.
There was like, there was.
Instead of giving you a little bit of-
A little support. Okay. Commissioner Boyd.
Madam Chair, to staff, is there any consideration of considering like the name of the design review district kind of preserving that character in terms of the actual stores in there? I personally go to like off 79 to actually buy some good stuff. Like in the naming of the district, is there any consideration of kind of making sure that those businesses kind of continue, if that is not considering if it makes sense?
That's a great question. I think we went really back and forth on what we should call this district because we have so many districts in the city called Lorraine Avenue at this point. And, with efforts over the years from Northwest Neighborhoods now really branding that district as the Lorraine Antiques District, I thought it was appropriate to give it that name and to embolden that name. We are really interested in seeing that specific use protected and preserved in the district. And I also go to a lot of those great businesses, such as Sweet Lorraine and all those. So definitely interested in supporting and expanding that district and bringing it down across Lorraine.
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll.
Anthony,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Gray Scott,
yes,
Sergeant,
Yes.
and Slade.
Motion carried. We're actually gonna go to page 4 and take the second zoning matter, just to do all the zoning matters first, since we hold the same procedures. This is a conditional use, 5G wireless cell tower at Flat Avenue. We have staff first, or see if you're, you can say that. You're fine.
Speak loudly.
Okay.
You're fine. You can speak loudly. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Madam Chair. And so, my name is Xavier Bay. I'm in the zoning section of city planning. You may remember this case you first saw this case in May of this year, 7289 Platt Avenue. The proposal is to erect a new monopole, 135-foot high telecommunication tower. As you heard before, they're also installing equipment cabinets, a meter board, diesel generator. The location of this property is within a semi-industry C1 district. And so you also see on the right there, you see a zoning map. The original proposal was actually down here, closer to the street, closer to this multi-family adjacent district. So here, I just attached a couple of snippets from the applicant's site plans. They are now 238 feet from the multifamily district, which is actually cemetery to the west. And now they're 614 feet from the adjacent multifamily district south. Here I've attached the site plan and elevation of the monopole. So we labeled 135 feet because we go from the top of the structure to the base of the structure. The pole is 125 feet and the antenna on top is 10 feet. So that's why we're seeing 135 feet today. They did label a future 50-foot addition on their elevation plan. So that would be a total of 185 feet. Here's some of the existing conditions along the street here, Platte Avenue. And you can see there's not much currently going on here, but as you heard in our prior meeting in May, the residential district to the south actually has more of the there's churches, things of that nature, some more residential context going on. To the east, there's a cemetery. Or to the west, there's a cemetery. My apologies. To the east is a railroad. Here you can see some of the renderings that they provided. The comments that were given last time were to show a more realistic rendering. As you can see, there's a 6-story building that's rather close to this 135 foot tower. So I think comments that were made by staff last time was to see a more realistic rendition. During the review, this is just some of the rubrics to show you the considerations that we take into while reviewing this to the zoning code. They're located in semi-industry district, so there's no problem with the zoning district. They're erecting the 135-foot high tower, and so it's 247 feet from a multifamily residential district adjacent, which is a lot further than the original proposal. I think it's about 40 feet or so from adjacent multifamily residential district. They will need the variance for the height of the 100-foot variance, since this is a height 1 zoning district. You're regulated maximum of 35 feet. So the design of the tower, I mean, they fit the design aspects as far as, the color of the pole to blend into the sky, things of that nature. No signs proposed at this location, and security fence, they're providing the security fence, 3 wires of barbed wire on top, and they're meeting the landscaping needs, the 10-foot landscaping strip. I think they're proposing 6-foot high evergreens around the location. And so the conditions you're looking at, was there a reasonable attempt to co-locate or find a more suitable location with less variance requests? The blue dot here shows you where the proposal is today. Right where my cursor is to the south here is where the proposal was back in May. As you can see, they did make some efforts to move this further away from the multifamily context, the church that's here to the south, and some of these other residences. Here's a Google Earth view where you can see previous placement. Where this red pin is labeled previous placement along Platte Avenue, and revised placement is right off of East 71st Street, close to the road. And so your conditions are just the erection of the new 135-foot tower, meet all applicable design standards in section 354, and if it, design is appropriate and compatible with the surrounding uses. I also have the applicant's presentation attached to this.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Attendant and Director. We're very pleased to be back before you. We've spent a few months, working with staff, working with the landowner, and working with our customer, Verizon Wireless, to try to find a pathway forward to modify our original project design and proposal so that we could hopefully, earn city support, staff and planning commission. We really are in earnest in trying to move this project forward to bridge the digital divide in this particular part of the community where there is a very much underserved, wireless community. So just to briefly recap, Kenny's remarks, just a point of clarification. We originally were proposing a taller, private communication facility. In collaboration with the city, we've agreed to lower the height down to 125 feet for the tower. There's a 10-foot lightning rod on the top, so absolutely correct to call it 135 for the purposes of your zoning code. I just want to be clear, it's not an antenna at the top, it's just a lightning rod. Verizon would be at the top of the tower, and then presumably other cell carriers would potentially go on this tower over time. So we reduced the height significantly. We got approval from Verizon on that compromise. And then we also had to work hard with the landowner on the location change because of where he previously had future plans for the Foundry Arts District. But all parties are pleased to move forward as it's currently proposed. We really hope that we can have your support. We do have a request on there to potentially pre-approve an extension. We would of course have to go through permitting, we'd have to go through a technical review should that ever be done, but we're hoping that we could respectfully request that the discretionary review be contemplated here. And should we have a wireless carrier, say, so Verizon, for instance, initially, AT&T or T-Mobile were to come along and say, hey, we'd love to use the site, but we need to be 15, 20 feet higher. And instead of them coming before you trying to get another tower down the street for a very close height, we think it benefits all parties, all stakeholders to potentially slightly increase the height of this existing structure. And we would proactively overbuild the foundation and the tower base itself to be able to handle potential extension in the future. There's no guarantee the extension would ever be needed, but we think that it makes a lot of sense to pre-plan that. Having said that, we would be pleased to move forward at 125. I don't want to unnecessarily cloud the waters on that part of the project, but if you concur with the logic in where we're proposing that, we would certainly be additionally pleased to have that as part of our approval. Thank you.
Over the slides that the others. This is the new proposed location.
Yeah, totally. Of course, yeah, explain, sorry, I didn't spoke each. So yes, you can see this rendering shows the revised location and height. You can see significantly, there's a lot less visible, verticality, vertical bulk, in a zoning sense within the contextual environment. And we feel that this greatly reduces the visual impact for the surrounding neighborhood.
Just real quick, I saw the councilman on, Councilman Starr, but then I don't see him anymore.
That's my fault. I'm supposed to let them know when this came up, and I apologize.
Before I open it up, the sort of additional sort of, staff.
We can share our opinions. So we're very comfortable with this new location. We work collaboratively with the owner, the councilperson, the representative here. Because it's between a railroad and a cemetery, we feel comfortable with that location. In terms of the additional height, our staff went back and forth. I think our internal conclusion is that we would prefer it to come back for future addition, but would be fine approving the 135 foot. So, ultimately, it's your discretion. So,
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll wait for the councilman when he comes on, we'll let him go. But first, let me open it up for public comment. Is there anybody online or here who'd like to speak in favor of this conditional use? I don't see anyone. Is there anybody who's opposed to the conditional use or would like to ask a question? Let me know when the councilman comes on.
He was.
I will take, he went on. But,
Yeah.
And then, and I'm sure he's in favor, correct?
He's in favor.
I would like the record to reflect we've spoken many times and he is engaged with our
There he
work
is.
session, if you recall.
Hi, Councilman Starr. When we heard this matter, we've opened it up for public comment. There has not been any public comment in favor or opposed. And so we just wanted to hear your support or not for this matter.
Good morning, committee.
Good morning.
Sounds like he's having some connectivity issues.
Okay. While he's coming in, commission members, any other questions? Yeah, he needs a new cell tower.
You said.
I didn't say it.
So we have a speaker.
With regards to the,
Okay. He was responding to second, say. I just can't hear you.
additional head, we need like the staff, kind of, was I want to post it coming back to.
Like a big comeback.
That would be tremendous. That's a great idea in our estimation.
I always worry about, the only reason I would say that we probably should not do that is that it is precedent setting, which is cell tower. I mean, here it might make sense, but in other parts of the community, especially that are more dense or have different mixed use, it would set a precedent that for others, it may not be appropriate, but then people can go back and say we did it to them for not. So it's not that I don't.
Not my intent, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's our goal.
It's been a very lengthy process getting this project to where we're at, and I'm just trying it out and to do it all again, 2 or 3 years from now for AT&T level, but I understand it is what it is, and I don't want to overreach. I want to take the victory where we can get it and move forward.
I mean, for me. Big issue. Go ahead, Councilman.
Yeah, see, that's that Ward 5 internet connectivity I have lacking in, and that's why we here today. My internet went in and out, but I definitely wanted to just reiterate to the committee, I am totally in support of this project. I've been working with Jesse Styles for probably a year and a half now. I'm also meeting with the planning department just to make sure it makes sense on what to do, how to do things, make flowers at a right lane, all type of different things. So I definitely would just, I wanted to speak out and say that I do support this initiative. I am happy that we are here at this point, and seeing what we can do to make this come to life. What's up, Charlie?
How you doing?
Thank you.
Thanks, Councilman.
So that's, yeah. I only think I have to thank you. I know it's been a long process and I do think this is a much better location. And so I personally appreciate, because I know in all the communities you have to kind of manage through, but it is really a much better location. And I think it does, what we want to do is provide connectivity, but also preserves the development of the land also, where it was also not as appropriate adjacent to housing, but it also makes the site more developable in the future, which is also really important. So thank you for really working with the staff.
Thank you. That work session we had was,
Yeah.
that was the sea change in all of it. So that was a very difficult work session, but we got through it. And
Yep.
thank you. I want to thank you guys also.
So anybody make a motion? And unfortunately, my recommendation to the commission is to approve as presented and to know that we obviously understand this site may be appropriate for additional height, but I think it's worrisome to set the precedent.
Madam Chair, motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Without the condition that we would pre-approve any additional height, that matter should come back.
Thank you. Motion and second, call the roll.
Anthony,
Yes.
Gary.
Yeah.
McRae Scott,
Abstain.
Sergeant,
Yes.
and Slate.
I hope this doesn't affect, well, I probably leave myself with.
No, it doesn't. Did she abstain? Wait, no, she abstained. You're fine.
I would like to.
Probably would have had to do that. at the beginning.
I'm sorry, I'll abstain.
You're
I'll abstain.
abstaining.
We have an
It's
abstention.
a,
It's a-
it's financial matter.
No, I don't.
So abstention is fine.
Okay. So we have 2 abstentions, motion still carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you back probably in some time. All right, we're gonna go back to page 3, lot split and consolidation, permanent parcel number 004-13-032 2449 West 11th Street. Peter? Any online?
I'm here, yes.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay, take it away. I think we have your slides up.
So, back in November of 2023, I engaged Riverstone, to work through a lot split for this property. My brother and I own the property. Both of us live in the front house. I live upstairs, he lives downstairs. And the back house probably hasn't been lived in over 25 years. So we're in the process of redoing that. We redid the front house. Now we're in the process of redoing the back house. I will be moving into the back house, and then my brother will be staying in the front house. We received a permit from the building department back on August 7th. You know, so the permission was granted by the building department for the lot split. The green markings on the drawings here are I gotta pull up, I can't see that one, I gotta look at mine. Where is it? Hang on 1 second, I got it right here. Okay, so yes, the green markings on the drawing here are the easements. There's an existing easement with the neighbor next door for the driveway. And then there's also a new easement proposed, you know, for the utilities, for the parcel AA in the front, you know, for the parcel BB in the back. And then there's a parking easement between the two properties, you know, for there's a parking lot back there for the cars. So I'm requesting to get, you know, to have the city planning council or city planning commission to approve this.
Is there a site plan? Like, that shows the driveways, and have you added the driveways to the deed so that in case you sell it down the line, it's not your brother and you don't get along? Do we have
Yeah,
that?
the site plan, I believe, and again, I'm not a architect or anything, but I
Yeah.
believe where the green line's going down the side of the building right there, that's the driveway.
Right, which is fine, I see that. Have you filed the, like, either deed, in the deed or for the, shared use and the snow removal, et cetera? Even though you're related, we still require it.
Yeah, we did the Mylar. Is that what you're asking?
No.
No.
Okay.
Um,
I think we had to get this approved and have the Mylar signed off on so we can get the deed done,
right.
is my understanding.
So my suggestion, unfortunately, is going to be to postpone this one. We can get a site plan and make sure that they're filing the proper, basically what we require is it's not the deed restriction, it's you and your brother right now get along, right? So when we.
Most of the time.
Yeah. So when we, and this is, I hate to make you kind of go through this because I think this is something we do, just so you know. But when we make a lot split by which there's a parcel in the back that is landlocked, we require that you actually file the appropriate in advance before the director signs off the appropriate paperwork that basically creates an easement. So you have to have an easement for the driveway for the back lot in perpetuity so that nothing should happen so you don't get along and that person can't get back there next time this sells. And so that's just a requirement when we create a landlocked parcel. So you'll need to do that. And normally we can let this go to staff I think we could, if you're okay, the commission members is for them to both see the site plan, so you don't have to come back here and see that you have filed the proper deed on the driveway. Then you don't have to come back here, but that's the only way then she can sign off on the last one.
Okay, I didn't know the process, so I'll check. Who do I work with in the city for that?
You'll work
Paperwork.
with who in this is where it's this. This is
We can name Xavier for now.
We're gonna work with Xavier Bay, who's here. So if commission members are okay, we normally wouldn't do this. So would be to approve this with a condition that staff see the site plan and the deed restrictions before you sign up. And then if we can't come to agreement with them, you'll come back here. You don't have to come back. Okay? August, we'll do it. It never happens. I'm avoiding that out. Anybody? Okay. We have a motion. So it would be a motion to approve with that condition.
I make a motion to approve with that condition. That's pretty consistent.
So we have a motion as a second to approve with the condition that staff can sign off on this once presented with both the site plan and the deed requirement. Call the roll.
Anthony,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Grace Scott,
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes.
Slight.
Yes.
Motion carried. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is Northeast Design Review, Anchor 66 Crossing. This is a vacant lot at 66 in Linwood. Someone here from WODA Group? That's Joey Cesare.
Hey, good morning.
Do you
Joey
swear to?
D'Souza, Motor Group here.
Good morning, I'm just gonna swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury?
Yes, I do.
I'd just like to point out, I do not need to recuse myself. Obviously, the Clean Foundation is at East 66th Street. We have no involvement in this project. So. Go ahead.
All righty. Well, oh, you have my slides up. Perfect. So Gateway 66 is a proposed affordable housing development here on the corner of Linwood and East 66, across from Lake Park. WODA Cooper Companies and Frontline Development Group from the city of Cleveland are co-developers on this proposed affordable housing development. So here you're seeing the existing context. These are the two lots. It's an assemblage of parcels here, but that's where the two buildings will stand, two 4-story buildings consisting of total of about, I think, 80 or 81 apartment units. This is what's across the street on the other side of that intersection. And this is up a little north on Longview Avenue. That's the intersection it lies upon. And that image kind of shows you the thoroughfare that it will be on. This faces south from the intersection. We currently have a schematic approval from the Northeast Design Review and plan to request a final here on, I believe, October 15th is our deadline goal.
Apologies, Madam Chair, there's a bit of a lag here. Okay.
So we have the existing conditions, site plan, conceptual, landscape plan, and stormwater management plan coming up. Here's the schematic design from above. This is the existing context here. This assemblage of about quite a few parcels here. And this is the preliminary layout. And here are the lands. This is the landscaping plan. Some furnishings and site amenities. Floor plans. Here are the elevations for the buildings. So here's building B. This is the eastern building. And if everything goes perfectly right, we plan to begin construction in June of 2025.
Have it
What
rendering.
questions do y'all have?
That's this, yeah. We'll go back and watch that. The one with the trees. Maria, what level of review is this?
This was schematic.
Where's the checker checking?
Right to the site plan?
There- Is this both buildings?
Both sides.
Maybe that's a clarification for the map. Maybe this is just.
The east side is the one, would be the smaller site
Slightly larger.
with the larger parking, so.
Maybe the applicant.
Can you clarify, is this for just the larger site?
What was the question?
Are we just looking at the larger site?
What is, are you saying, are you just looking at the eastern parcels?
Are you asking for schematic approval of the eastern parcel? Or the whole?
We have received schematic approval for both the western and eastern parcel. The ownership entity will own both. Will own all of the ownership entity of the apartment complex will own both buildings. It is one entity that will own this all. So the schematic approval on this Tuesday was for both buildings. Our comments were to move on the eastern side, to move that dumpster eastward towards the single family lots, as well as shift the eastern building a little north prior to submitting a final review, just for everyone to have a heads up. But yeah, this is all one development, one community. We will be submitting to Ohio Housing Finance Agency in one application. All buildings you're seeing would be one construction job and managed by the same man. A manager and a service technician will be full-time on site to manage both buildings.
Okay.
I hope that clarifies the question. Let me know if it does, or if you need further information from me.
To the applicant, there were two renderings. Is it that the one with trees is on the west side of the street? It looks like there's a little bit more of a front lot there.
So I think on the right side, building A is the western building. And building B is the eastern building. You can see it there on bottom right kind of corner, and it's sideways, of course, to make it even tougher on us.
But
what you
from a
have
design
pulled up is-
perspective, they're somewhat mirror images of each other.
Right,
They're similar in proposed designs.
right.
Can you go to the rendering too, all right, maybe to the staff. Or, can you go to the one that's the rendering?
If I can, or if I may, at the Northeast Design Review, we approved with these stated conditions. And this will help clarify with what you're saying, we had the same issue. So one, yes, if they would consider swapping the location of the dumpster in front of the building, we don't think that the city trash would, we don't think that's good. That they would reconsider using a narrower tree species along Longview and reconsider the location of the pergola and show the relationship and connection of the buildings in the next presentation. We asked them to have a 3D view or axonometric to show the two buildings together, so we could put the elevations to the basics. Also include massing of the buildings that they're trying to tie into across the street as far as with the arches that you see on these. And consider raising the floor elevation, basically raising the first floor and lowering the top. And the first floor, look at reducing the parapet height, the dimensions, and the return.
Thank you. You said it better than I could.
You know, I have to be honest, for a project this important on both sides of 66, to not have a full presentation, for me is problematic. This is just so important, the project, so I do agree with you. It's gotta come back for final. I mean, to me, this seems much more schematic, or much more conceptual than it does schematic. I also feel like, I agree with just everything in design reviews comments. The ground floor of this building does not feel, this does not feel like something that is really going to enhance kind of the pedestrian opportunities there. The sides of the building with these tiny sliver windows, there's no real back of this building with what you have there in the park. You know, there is so much about this that needs to be advanced. I mean, I am in full support of the project of affordable housing, but I really think it deserves a lot more than this. And so, you know, I don't know if it hurts your OFA application, but I personally think this is a conceptual level.
With that being, but, yeah. Put together,
Yeah, I mean, they're on the path, they still gotta get all the funding together, but I think this requires, kind of not just taking a housing typology and slapping it on one the most important area. So, to the applicant, I don't wanna slow up the process. You can still go to OFA with conceptual approval from the planning commission, can't you?
We have to go to OFA
Yeah,
with this is a non-conceptual, this is a non-competitive 4% application. So we must have approval with no variances by November 15th for our current timeline to remain as it is, if that makes sense. Typically OFA and competitive rounds, you can go in with conditional uses. You can go in and say, hey, we still need a variance, but however, this is a non-competitive 4%. They do require no variances at the time of application. If we can evidence zoning with no variances needed by the 15th, we can submit and move forward. However, if we cannot, we will be pushing this back a year.
this isn't for variances, we're talking about design right now, conceptual approval. Do you require any variances?
At this time, from our conversations, we don't believe we will. So no. But we have to submit 80% site plan, we have to submit 80% drawing, so it would be really great to have a good understanding of what we need to draw up. It's quite expensive to put an 80% plan into OFA.
Who's your
But I think given the feedback, our architects and civil engineers are actively amending the site plan to submit for a final review by Northeast and addressing all comments that were made on the list that was just read. The main concern on that list for us is that ground floor and the high roof. But really the parapets at the top, and it looks really tall at the top because that is by design to hide machinery at the top. If it wasn't a taller building at the very top, you'd see machinery on it. The ground floor, we're doing our best to raise that height, but we are on we have a budget, and we're doing our best. All the other items I strongly believe we can address before we come to the final review on the 15th, if that makes sense.
Okay, I think you're not hearing us. We need a lot of work on this, even if we gave it schematic. We're saying that we believe that it needs a lot of enhancement, sides to bottom, to make it kind of more pedestrian friendly. There's quite a bit, so.
We'll do our best to address the comments that the Northeast Design has given us prior to our final submission.
Okay, but we're gonna add some more. What we approved today is what you'll have to do.
Okay, well, please spell it out. We'll see if we can fit it within the budget. It's an affordable housing development. Thanks.
Madam Chair, this looks like a low-income housing project. It doesn't have any appeal at all to me. I just look at this and I think about a lot of the other low-income housing projects that have been designed over the years, and this is just seems like run-of-the-mill. And one of those development projects that will eventually go by the way of, if you're familiar with Chicago, Cabrini Green, where you're just stacking low-income people in a building, and it just does not look like it's going to be aesthetically pleasing for the community. That is just
our management company manages 18,000 affordable housing units in the United States of America, and honestly, to compare our communities, you can look at our website to Cabrini Green. It is insulting.
Please address you need to address the chair if you're here at this commission meeting and not speak like that to one of the commission members. I will tell you that, first of all, I want to say, we are really glad that you're building affordable housing here. It's an important site. There's a lot of investment here. We're really just asking for you to work to enhance the design of this so that it really does feel like it's a reflection of the community in a way that it does not look like affordable housing.
Madam Chair, to the applicant, I think in regards to presentations about design review, and if you can work to not just use direct sheets from the plan set and actually put together a presentation that talk comprehensively about the approach, the materials on the building, the site design, planting palette, and so on and so forth. I think it will be easily digestible to us, again, with regards to what you have to go back and change, but again, not just kind of cut and paste from the plan set, but actually put a presentation together will be helpful.
Do I want to try to motion?
Are we going to get some sexual way?
Either way, but you're going to have to be strong about it.
think I'm inclined to think that it's fine to grant conceptual approval. I think sounds like there's agreement that this is a appropriate site for housing.
Yeah.
And there's not an opposition to there being two buildings, you know, on these corners. We appreciate the strategic location, the availability of other assets we focused on. So I think that conceptual approval is appropriate. But I think, so I'm gonna hold back from making that motion only because it seems like you all have in your architect minds a little bit more of a concept of what the best things to provide at the next stages. But I think conceptual approval is appropriate.
So Madam Chair, I make the motion to grant conceptual approval and that the applicant review and consider all the recommendations by design review, in addition to the comments from our commission with regards to the site plan and kind of pedestrian feel, particularly within the reapplication or the resubmission, that the applicant put together a presentation that highlights renders and things that then we can look at outside of the plan set to kind of see that all those things.
Second. Question and a second, call the roll.
Anthony,
Yes.
Harry.
Yeah.
McCray Scott,
No,
Sergeant,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried. All right, what I would encourage you to work with the staff at the planning commission in this interim, so that when you come back, you really have advanced and progressed the design of this entire project. All right, the next item is Downtown Flats Design Review. This is Cohen Company signage for final approval, 130 Euclid Avenue, Suite 1300. Variance required for this design. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and you shall answer for the penalty of perjury. Please, okay.
Also have Liliana online.
Liliana, can I have an aye from you too?
Aye.
Okay.
I'll throw out Mark Rousseau, General Counsel, Cohen Company, Leslie Colley.
Leslie Collin, Chief Marketing Officer, Collin, right?
Juliana's going to take us through the slides. This skyline sign.
Good morning, everybody. Okay, so we are proposing two sets of LED illuminated channel letters on the north and south elevation. You can see on the north what it'll look like simulated at night. We're going to be removing the US Bank signage and installing Cohen. Slide. Same as the south elevation, removing US Bank and installing Cohen. We have a drawing of how the channel letters will be fabricated as well as installed to the aluminum rails that will be attached to the two hatches where there is access up on the roof for the letters. Some building sign photos to show what's currently there. We're also proposing a plaque, 2 foot by 2 foot, stating Cohen and Company Center on Playhouse Square. We'll be removing the old US Bank plaque. We're also proposing 2 non-illuminated, flat cutout, pin mount, stud mount letters. We'll be removing US Bank Center and installing Cohen and Company in its place. We have a fabrication drawing on the next page to show you how they're fabricated and will be installed into the building fascia. We will also be replacing faces on the US Bank parking garage with new Cohen and Company parking garage faces.
Commission, to the chair, this is Dan Schenk, Downtown Flats Planner. Is everybody hearing me okay?
Yep.
Great. Coming to you guys from a workshop offsite, so I'll be virtual today. But I did just want to give a quick rundown of the Downtown Flats process. Just wanted to show some appreciation to Ileana at the signage company and the whole Cohen & Co. team. They worked with us on, providing a lot more dimensions for the project. It was previously tabled just due to some of the logistical issues with maintenance of the sign and how they originally located it. But they worked very closely with us to make some amendments to the skyline sign and the other signage as well, taking the committee's comments to heart. And I think it turned out fantastic. The committee was very happy with the updates, and you could see there was no conditions in this case. So staff is very supportive. The committee was supportive, and appreciate this team working with us. And that's all I have. Thank you.
We appreciate you too.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Xavier Bay from zoning section, city planning. Technically speaking, it's not necessarily a variance that's going to be requested for the skyline sign. It's more of approval. So basically, the zoning code doesn't speak strictly to skyline signage. It's to like wall signage generally. But as I've been informed from Brandon, you mentioned the adopted policy of this commission has always looked to which tenant has naming rights for the building and generally approve two skyline signs. So no variance is needed, just approval for their skyline sign. The applicant can speak more to naming rights and things of that nature.
Yeah, our landlord has granted us the rights to sign up US Bank. It's vacated building, and they're the largest tenant. We've been there since 2003. We've just signed up for another 10 years since for that. So for a long time tenant.
How much square footage do you have?
37,547. I didn't deal with that square footage a while, and we're actually going to expand.
Yeah. How many floors?
2 now.
So you're actually will be expanding another floor?
Yes. We had the rights of first refusal. Use one both 10 and 7th floor.
According to Wikipedia, 12 or 15. So
Really?
I'm just finding this out. So I was looking to see if US Bank moved out. I was like, it's on Wikipedia, so it must be right.
So, and through the chair, just for the record, could you state your name?
Sure. Yeah, Mark Russo, I'm general counsel for Cohen & Company.
Also, I love this building, just personal note, we call it Drug Vader's Money Cake. So.
Well, the one in Times Square is Darth Vader building, so that was the former US.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
so, yeah. So that's the other side of it was the Darth Vader building, and this is the,
Money Cake.
yeah, it's not there.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, I do see Dan Shinkle with his hand raised.
From
the neighborhood planner.
Yeah, thank you, Xavier. Madam Chair, just a point of clarification. Xavier and I had a lot of signage to look at this week, so one point I did want to make is the tenant is not a first story tenant. So they do need a variance being like above floors. They're proposing 20 square foot wall signs. And we'll need a variance of 28 square feet.
Okay, the other signage, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct, and my apologies to the chair. Dan's correct. If these overhead door signs. Would need to be
20 feet.
Just want to make sure they get their variances today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good call.
Okay, sorry.
Variances, or excuse me, skyline and the 20-foot variance in there.
Commission members? I would say I love the lower signs actually more. So if you go back to the other one, it's just for you. You don't have to do that. But go back to the skyline. I'm just curious if you would consider the gold. I know why you're doing it up there to light it, but the gold is really sophisticated on the ground point. I would see the gold. And I know why you're doing white on the top, but at night when it's lit, it's gold. Like so, just for you. You don't have to. But for me, just aesthetically, I really love the way the ground. So This one just kind of does quite, it has like an odd ring, because the building's so dark, with white on it. So when you get down to it, look at it. It might still read during the day, but be more beautiful. For anybody? Yeah. It's not a requirement, but I would look at it, seriously.
suggestion.
When you go back to the ground, or actually, for, it's like, I don't know, it looks like it was always there on the ground floor, but this looks like it got added later. So anyway, all right. Wait, good to go?
I move approval of EF 2024
There's probably the required variance for that.
with the required variance for the ground floor sign.
I second.
The motion and second, call the roll.
Anthony,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Ray Scott,
Yes.
Tarzan,
Yes.
it's like,
Yes.
Motion carried. All right, thank you guys, and thanks for investing and growing. in this
Thank you, we're
business.
excited to be there.
Thank
you.
So, all right, EF 2023 Cleveland Police Headquarters, signage only, seeking final approval 2503 Superior Avenue. Be sworn to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall, and for the penalty of perjury. Good to see you, Michael.
I do.
Okay.
thank you, Madam Chair. I consider from the zoning section, I do have slides for this presentation. The Cleveland Police Department headquarters. And so the applicant is proposing one roof business identification sign on the water tower on the roof, and 3 wall signs, and 3 monument signs. The only variance needs today are related to the one roof business identification sign. And so the property is located within a semi-industry 6 district. Here's the property location. You can see there right at the intersection of East 25th and Superior. And so, as I usually mention, the main directive that you're looking at is the design compatibility, design guidelines, and minimum variation from the zoning code. And so the main reason for a variance need at this location is because roof signs are first permissible in general industry and unrestricted industry zoning districts. So this being a semi-industry district, they need the variance simply for having a roof sign. And so since this sign is attached to a structure, is on the roof of this building, it's what kind of qualifies it as such. And so the applicants present, the applicant is proposing 79 square feet, which is the logo here on the water tower. It is, there are multiple sides of the water tower that have signage, but typically, you're just looking at it like one face.
If I may, there will be 3 logos on the water tank. We have one facing directly south, as you can see in this rendering. The other 2 are kind of at an 2 o'clock position to address the east and west sides of the building. And we also feel that those 2 would be visible from the lake, that are loose out. They're both. We'll be able to see those.
I can really like this.
I'm glad they got one.
I'm glad to the water tower. Will it be lit?
It will be, we will have lighting underneath, you can see the roof cap, kind of over the edge, a little bit. We are planning on putting lighting at that perimeter to illuminate not only the tank, but the photos as well.
Right.
It would be that Mercedes blue, but it's actually these additional blue color. The legs will be white. And the catwalk will be white as well.
Do you just need a motion? It's approved. There are no variances.
No, there is.
Oh, there is a variance.
There is one variance for this area for a roof sign.
In semi-industry district. All right.
Madam Chair, I have a motion to approve variance for sign.
Second.
Motion and a second, call the roll.
Thank you. Anthony,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
McCray Scott,
Yes,
Thurston,
Yes.
Slide.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next two we don't need to do, so we're jumping to page 10. This is VF 024, dash 040. You're good. Yeah. It's like, we should have taken you first. Sorry, you had to sit through all that. We're not as bad as people think. Munchie is seeking final approval. This is at 14059 9th Street. What is Munchie? Yeah, I figured that. What kind of?
I like blue cheese steaks, but I mean, like, burgers, which I'm surprised it's their fourth location. Two of the other ones, one of them, they're Fulham, so. One is the Harvard area, one is on Buckeye, one's.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and you don't answer both penalty of perjury.
Like this, Jack.
And it's signage.
Yes, like this, I suspect imaging. Sorry, I started that a little bit.
That's okay. I asked you that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Xavier Bay from Zoning, City Planning. I also have a few slides to present for the variance needs for MNT signage. So the proposal today, the applicant is proposing 5 business identification wall and window signs. 6, correct, including the door. I didn't include the door because it's more of so like a temporary type of sign. I understand. It's not necessarily a structure, I think is what I'm trying to get at. The other signs are more so wall, window, on structures. So semi-industry is the zoning district. Here's the property in question. You can see right at the intersection of Brockwell and East 9th Street. The unit is on the bottom left corner here. As I mentioned before, your main directives are looking at the design compatibility, design guidelines, and then the variation of design code. And so the main reason for the variance need at this location is that, so the sign is proposed on the primary frontage is fine, it meets code. The signage proposed on the secondary frontage of this property exceeds 50% of the max allotted. And so that brings about the need for a variance of 5.2 square feet. Total square footage of signage being proposed on the secondary side along Brockwell Avenue, 32.7 square feet. Their max allotted signage for the primary frontage is 55 square feet. And so just doing the math, taking 50% of 55, you have 27.5, which is how much their max square footage is for secondary side. And they're proposing 32.7.
Is it the same, sorry, is it the same size sign on both sides?
Yes.
Okay. I think personally it would look strange if one were slightly smaller because it's such a clear corner.
I would like to point out one other thing, the site sign that's on the storefront matching all the other signs, type, size, location, above the storefront, along the building. If it weren't an existing structure, I would say we're replacing the structure with a new storefront sign in addition to a window sign. We would just make that sign smaller. We are 5.2 square foot under on the main elevation. We're asking for 5.3 square feet on the side. And it is primarily on that window sign.
If you go back to the sheet with the variance.
This is the first time that I've seen that particular code in 20 years interpreted in the way it is being right now. In past cases, that 50% allowance is simply an additional allowance, and business owner and other people with interest in the project signage, as they felt best suit their needs. Which with this, they're allowed, and as long as it didn't exceed the 55 square foot, allow them to be coverage on any other side. So that is a question that I know I talked with Dan Shincoin, maybe listening in yesterday, and if you would like an answer, if that is the final version of this code.
I'm sure you don't want us able.
No, I would like you to act on it, but I would like if this going forward is going to be interpreted that way. Because I've never seen it interpreted that way. There's another sentence in the order.
Yeah, Madam Chair, and to the applicant. Downtown Flats Planner, this is Dan Schinkel. I just wanted to mention, we did receive a response from the chief zoning planner. So I will get that to you, Mike. We just received that last night. Just a little background on the project. This is one where Downtown Flats had very minimal comment, and just a minor condition of reviewing location of these signs, potentially to center them above the awnings, something that could just be investigated with the applicant. It's a very minimal square footage variance need, so there's no, staff is in support and the committee is in support. Thank you.
What was the response about the, that you got about the interpretation?
So the interpretation was essentially that you get 50% allotted to the secondary signage or to the secondary frontage. And it's not some sort of cumulative where you could take your total from the front and your total from the side, and that's your total for the whole building. It's truly a max on the front and a max on the side. So he's under the max on the front, he's over the max on the side. You don't get to kind of split the difference. But you do get, and this is why we have the variance need. He's above the 50% max on the side.
Okay. I actually think we have done that. The one thing I'll say, I do agree if you guys are open to it, but it does look a little odd that it's not centered. Would you be willing to just investigate that?
We're going to look at it when we do our field survey. There's existing frames on the wall.
Yeah.
But we don't know what that wall looks like underneath. And how, and that is a painted building, painted many years ago, several years, many years ago. It's still in very good shape, paint finish.
Yeah.
But does have several years of weathering and UV.
That's exactly what I thought.
Those are exactly where those signs are. I think if you go through my presentation, already still knows.
What does it look
Hold
like?
on, go to photo, yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
they're
it
there,
is.
yeah, they're there.
Or just pin mounted letters.
No, that is that rectangle is a metal frame on the wall, screwed to the wall, and there's a panel that
Yeah,
slides in.
it's probably just better to cover it than. rid it.
We will look
We'll
at it and we'll see what type of fasteners we use, so we're kind of old school in the wall, move it. That's one of the signs, one of the.
Okay, commission members, stay right here.
I'll move approval with the variance for the second.
We have a motion and a second, call the roll.
Sorry, who was started this?
Yes, sir.
Anthony?
Yes.
Gary?
Yeah.
McCray Scott?
Yes.
Sargent?
Yes.
And Slade?
Yes.
Motion carried. All right,
Thank you very much.
Euclid Porter 2024-023, this is nuisance demolition seeking final approval at 2102 East 81st Street. I don't need to throw you into the jury for the city. You're forever sworn in.
Yes, I am.
There are two of these.
There are two of them.
Okay,
I brought
we'll
them
take them
together, because it would be a fairly significant impact on this little Devon street.
Okay.
The first one is 2102 East 81st Place. These are both privately owned structures. This one is on the very end of the
or bigger.
It's, you
There
can
you
use
go.
the, you can
Cool.
use the picture if you
Oh,
want.
You can
I
do
just,
it.
where this one's easy. Probably stop right
So
there.
these are really, really small lots. Lot size is 29 by 60.
Right.
I live in Lakewood, and my lot is 40 by 110, and that's small. So, there's no garage. The Dunkin' Donuts is right behind it. You can keep going through. There's like a little aerial view. So Daisy Jean Davis is the owner. She owns 5 parcels on the street. 3 are structures, 2 are lots.
Are they in areas?
This one is. It's been vacant for some time. So you can see this is where that parcel is. Dunkin' Donuts is behind it. Right north of it is a larger apartment. And that's like a dead end. So you can't drive through this little street. It dead ends into that apartment. And so that's Carnegie and then Cedars on the south. And enter the street, you'll Cedar. If you go, it's not at all.
So it's vacant.
It's vacant. You can go ahead and through the pictures.
Vacant, you guys are gonna demolish it. See,
Fill,
get rid of the driveway.
There's no driveway.
There's no driveway, and
Yeah,
then,
it's very small.
and then you'll just put a lien on the property.
Yep. And then we assess the costs. We bill the owner, if they don't pay, it gets assessed to the property taxes. Oh, yeah, there's a big holder. Yeah.
Can I make a motion to approve?
This is the first one, which is a first place.
Yeah, they're both.
Second. A motion and second, call the roll.
Anthony,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
and Grace Scott,
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes.
Like. Motion carries. The second one's 2105.
So the second one is across the street and down a parcel or two. It is in a deeply bad shape. I actually couldn't even get to the second floor on that one because the floor was missing. So that one, so that's still the first one. It's on the same street, on this little dead end street. Keep going.
Yeah, we're having a little bit of time.
Oh no, okay. It is in state forfeiture, but it's still technically a right owner. State forfeiture means the owner had, or the state has a right to transfer the property. So I can assure you it's bad. We had this one for a while, waited on the one that we just saw, so I could do these together. I mean, it's really tight down the local street. We're gonna have to get a permit for street closure. Wish I had the pictures, but it's, there we go. Yeah. So it's that one that's at the front of the, there's a big hole in the roof. I couldn't even get to the rear, because it's so overgrown. It backs up to the Domina distributing. Again, 30 by 60 lot size, extremely small. These are zoned local retail. Yeah, back taxes are 6,400, like I said, it's been in forfeiture. Been vacant for some time, I can imagine. Not exactly sure because it's kind of tucked back in this little one-way street. You can see it there. It's very dark in there. Flashlight pictures. No, I was inside alone. I go in by myself and I had people watch outside.
Alright, straightforward. Similarly though, not a different owner, right?
Different, it is a different owner, but it's in the state of Ohio, so it's essentially considered abandoned by the state, it's considered abandoned.
Here I move that we approve the demolition at 2105 East.
second.
Motion and second, call the roll.
Anthony,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
and Grace Scott,
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes.
like.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Next one is 2024-025 Circle Square East Oaks Boulevard. This is for conceptual approval, the area between Stokes, Chester, and MLK, mixed use development. But everybody who's speaking, if you're just you, everybody else,
Not unless we need
just
to.
you.
Not just.
Not just you. Peter Nolan, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and so you don't answer for the penalty of perjury? Okay. There's no one online for the development team, right?
We're here.
Oh, you are. Are you gonna speak?
Do you
at
want
all?
us up there or not?
Yeah, if you're gonna speak.
You go, Steve. All right, I'll go.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and you shall answer for the penalty of perjury? And your name is?
It's privilege.
Okay, thank you. All right, go ahead. Welcome. Yeah. It's gonna be slow with our technology.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's nice to meet all of you. We have just a couple slides here. We can get overall view. So this is one of 6 topics. Allow you to go further beyond that. Help with all the money up on the screen is the national plan, exit resolution, the WHI. So we're one of the 6 factors for that one together, but it's still stuck more. So it's a swap aside the plan. So a little red, then orange, it's going to show. And then all the gray here.
To the presenter, can you please speak up?
They can't hear you.
Where it's projected.
Is it better now? Yeah. Okay, thanks. And the upper left one is the artisan trading about we're in Nashville and library lots, which is the building. It's just
Yes, sir. To the chair, you can use the, if you'd like, right, this to go forward, left this to go back.
Okay, great. So just a couple images, some of the sites. So we highlighted our sites in purple over there. You can see that the road work are being done with to expand the area. You can see some foundation construction images up there, so middle right image. And then you can see that there's a lot of mature trees alongside the fence. Those will help us community construction access. Our questions have been in this circle, incredible neighborhood, beautiful door, all the arts and museums in the area, really inform how cities provides for which so if we can improve pressure designs. As far as what really inspired us, this is going to be more private arts and some of the college beyond between balance and ambitions. So these are 3 diagrams that we thought about in terms of how we would think about it. It's hard to read, but the one on the far left is basically the next number. So you've got 269 units spread across 24 levels. What we're doing is we're cleaning up with both of them and we're on with 6 so that it relates to the buildings a little bit. We've got office at level 2, and then retail that starts at chest, and then racks around the inner level 6. Just to the left of that, or south of it, that's parking garage, that's just the lease that goes really big. And the big idea of this project was setting design. Well, the idea of staying down is it needs to stay because it's going to so you have 2 major levels, 2 connects, and then other things out to and then what we did our character to just carry those grounds all the way down. So you've got slides, and it does, it sets up a nice rhythm of reading, shooting, and that's spectacular.
And down at level 2, if you go to front, so that's at office level. We thought that would be a great space to do a little bit of read, trade, and also some great views out. And then this kind of, I know it's early days, but this is a really attractive, the whole conditioning. Unbelievable. So you can see the step top over there, we have some safety at the top. Showcase. Comes down to the podium, which is about 6 or 7 stories. And then you've got more or less sections where we office, retail. And then as you come down to the base of the buildings, you just the north elevation, you can see the tower above. You can see the podium, which is 6 or 7 stories. So it's there on the left, which is associated with the office. And down at the ground floor, starting in the far left, is the residential lobby, the office lobby, and then so this is a site plan as it relates to the overall master. So purple is retail. So Chester, that's what we were seeing earlier. I'm just going to talk about it.
Yeah, project.
So Chester, you've got the retail area in purple, and then in Stokes, you have no retail, so it's about 18,000 square feet in total. Blue is the office, and then that yellow color is the residential. All the gray and dark gray is loading back out. It's got access to the ground. Just to the south of it, you can see a white area. That's reserved court. You might remember from the master plan, there's a vision for another project which is south of this. So we wanted to use reserved court for that access for both projects. But we're going to phase this. So what makes sense to us is to provide connection there, but understand that the connection might be temporarily unusable because they're being built in the garage. So what we've gone ahead and done is built another driveway connection on panel. You can see that in white there. And just some simple floor plates as we go up the building. So we talked about the ground floor, but it's just on the left hand side. The office plan is on the right, it's at level 2. So it breaks down into 2 spaces, 400 square feet on the west, 7,000 square feet on the east. And then as it stacks up the building, you can see the yellow over there on the podium plans, that's all residential, which is nice. So we get activated uses along Stokes, Chester, and then MLK. And then it extrudes up into that tower. And then lastly, these are just the amenity plan that we're passing the comment at the top of the building. So different uses. First amenity level, we want to be more extroverted. So we have sunbathing area, fitness lounge, and then the second deck is a little bit more introverted, relaxing, a little type of area. If you want to go back, you can go in quite a bit. And check out Switch here. So this is a view standing from Chester and East Stokes as you turn the corner. So you'll see that we've got about 20-foot wide sidewalks around the entire block. So it's ready for retail to split out. It's dining, like storage, but it provides a lot of flexibility for us to do what we want there. You will see a slight overhang above the retail in the office. That's about 30 feet up in the air. So we're looking for a right-of-way overhang from the city, but it does provide a nice scale of some visual interest. And then lastly, we get some questions.
Oh, he was just looking at existing
I,
area.
can I ask a dumb question? Is the city like right now, if you're coming eastbound on Chester, it kind of curves onto MLK and then becomes Stearns. This area is very confusing for West Siders. Is the city capping off Chester that that you're building over what's currently the road? I was struggling to understand where the site was, because there's a road, okay.
And then
Thank you, that's the one that I wasn't paying enough
And the
attention
space to the left, the little triangle is always remaining green, right? Not developable.
Which area?
On the other side of MLK, it becomes green space.
So is Chester, if I'm coming down Chester and I wanna get onto Union, I'm now gonna turn down Stokes, turn left onto Union? I'm confused about what the city's doing with the road network here. And I agree that it's been sort of crazy, but it also seems like we're maybe inserting a lot of turns where there could be.
We're helping. We're getting rid of one.
So
Yeah.
what it is now is what it's. So you go down Chester, you can turn right on the tunnel. Okay.
Yes.
Or you can proceed straight.
No, you
No,
have
you
to
can't,
turn.
you have to turn right onto
If you're
MLK.
coming east, you're coming east down Chester, you have to turn on MLK.
On MLK.
Or you turn on Stokes.
So the MLK will hit you.
I'm forming a subcommittee for signage through Universal Circle comprised solely of West Siders. It's very, the road changes, well, like MLK turns and suddenly you're on Stearns and it's weird. So we need to, we are very, I apologize for deviating.
One other thing I just wanted to cover on your attention is the height limits. So as we go to code, base height limit is 250 feet. There's a provision underneath that section that allows you to go up to 375 rather than instead of that. In our case, it would be a 1-to-5 ratio, so for every 1 foot of line, you go 5 feet up. So this diagram on the right is sort of an envelope diagram for the building. And then this is a section in a hand overlay of how that works. It's a little hard to read, but that dashed line intersection designates the 250-foot line, which is a base height. There's only 2 portions that really stick above. And so that's in that third rectangular extrusion. And so it's amenity, mechanical, and materials. And so all we're really doing to fit within that envelope is we're setting that plan from the property line about 3 feet to achieve that. So that would cover that area section. Sorry, I'm just stop and give any questions that.
Can you go back to the rendering? I know you're just conceptual approval. And it's just, I wonder as you go forward now, I know there's, I'm an architect and shit, there's a floor plan here. But, it seems like just from looking at it without knowing the uses, that's the thing I like about the ground floor and what kind of wraps around to the park side. Is there any way that this kind of lower level piece that kind of programmatically could wrap this? Like, it sort of like feels to me that it actually wants to wrap up to what level is that with the little trees on it, right? To the park,
You want to wrap it on the MLK side,
on the park side too, like, it's so beautiful, so I say that's like, the idea that is the park and then the views and the fact that this caps the end of everything you guys are doing, right, in terms of the development. That's my first comment. It's conceptual to explore that because I feel like this is the end cap, right? And this books the art museum and the park, and it's new park that's coming, and it feels like it stopped and it didn't actually wrap the corner. And it's that part is what really most people are going to see versus the tower, right? First comment. Second is feels to me like just knowing how much people actually do love having a little bit of outdoor space or these little terraces. They seem really small, but I know the scale because it's a high rise. But are they big enough you explore the idea of also breaking up the facade by those actually being really usable and for people, to have kind of a little bit larger outdoor space.
Yeah, so in our experience, about 5.5 feet is one of the accounts, so the ones that built these of that. So these are around 5.
Yes. I meant even a little bit more if you came in insider. It's not a requirement. I'm just like, it's such a phenomenal study. People are gonna want them outside and how to think about actually how desirable those units will be to have a little bit bigger of a terrace to consider that. It'll also help with the idea that this is a pretty large development, very glassy, right? Of sort of how to use those to break up the facade. But if you go back to the lower level closer up rendering, I do really like this a lot in terms of it really feels like it's gonna feel good to be on the street for this lower level portion, which is why I'm kind of pushing to wrap it. Even if that's residential, much different. It's like how you incorporate something that wraps this lower level cornice line. But it feels, feels really good right there. So if you could consider looking at that, might be fun.
My comments, one, I've come to appreciate with a lot of the new architectural style of the glass is that it's kind of reflecting that surroundings. So I'd be curious at some point to understand how the north facade kind of reflects the church across the street. Is that kind of being taken, because that's a really kind of majestic building, it'd be a cool view from like the blue kind of scenic direction, but I don't know if it's positioned in the right spot to capture it. But then the other side of reflections, and as I age and enter my birding era, I would like, as we move forward, to understand kind of the anti-bird, anti-collision glass treatments, especially given the lagoons across the street. Given that I like that there's like the mid-terrace trees, but those are, I, like many, I assume maybe initially that the bird collisions are from migrating birds at like altitude, but it's more birds taking off from the tree lawn tree and using the reflection. And there's some pretty dire statistics about the number of birds on a daily basis that are being put downtown because of collisions of buildings. So I think that we should think through ways that we can more thoughtfully prevent that from happening in additional buildings.
To comment that, within our experience, most of my failures, there's certain things you can do with the glass, some activity, transparency, or
those are my two. But I think it's a beautiful building.
Pending to map to navigate.
Yeah, pending I can find it.
The other point I'll make about this, which makes sense, fine, is that I just don't think anybody's ever gonna see this facade from here, because when everybody comes this way or views this site from the other side. And this is so, I really love the intricacy of this and how it feels urban and pedestrian oriented. But actually, nobody actually sees this view. You're standing in the grass somewhere, right? Everyone is gonna see that view, and it isn't as good as this view at all from like the perspective of University Circle or the park, or how many people or how often I walk into a lagoon and I'm gonna see a facade all the time, right? And thousands of people who are over it already doing walking. So you could just revisit that. That would be helpful. Yeah, that side, it does feel like the side, not the money shot, right? This, right? It does not feel, it feels like the side of the building. And that is really what everyone. Okay. Anybody else? This is just conceptual approval.
I will, conceptual approval. I don't know if we formally incorporated feedback.
Did this go to,
We did, they approved with no conditions.
Alright. Okay. Call the roll, we have a motion,
Team second building.
a second, wait, Anthony,
Are you the second?
read the second, take second.
Second.
Okay.
Call the roll.
Anthony,
Yes.
Carrie,
Uh,
and Craig Scott.
I abstain. I couldn't hear.
Okay, one abstention, sorry.
Sergeant,
Yes.
Ms. Light.
Yes.
Motion carries. Anyway, thank you guys. Huge. You guys are moving like fire, like the project. So, and I know that the other development is almost done.
It's very nice.
So,
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the support.
and on the ground floor of the one that's opening, what's going on in there?
On the library side of
No, this side, the tower.
the artist retirement
Yeah.
is already open.
Yeah.
So waiting on the connectivity for the south portion of the main block.
Yeah.
There's where the MLK library currently stands.
Where it goes away.
Yeah, where that's going.
Yeah.
Waiting on sort of the connectivity to have about 30,000 square feet of retail.
Of retail, right?
Yeah, so there's currently 14,000 square feet of retail on there, so that it's just integrate, decorate.
Right.
Box. Again, waiting to
Waiting
sort
for
of,
that.
yeah, have that connectivity. It's deep space, it's gonna be a lot of the user.
Maybe when this comes, you'll have more density.
Well, that's the key in our opinion, is like having double sided, retail on both sides of the street, building a real retail district.
Yeah.
When that's completed.
Well, anyway, fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll see you back in hopefully. Barbara, will we?
Next month.
Next month. Okay, thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Okay, next one is, gonna be postponed, so, the next one is on page 15, Northwest 2024-018. Welcome to Old Brooklyn mural, this is at 4326 Pearl Road. Connor Brentnar from Old Brooklyn, and I'm sure Kara, oh, there you are, you walked in, I missed you walking in. These photos off the street, the whole street, and then from the street, as we show both answers to perjury. You did, okay, good. Take it away. Sorry, you want to go first? Second. Sure.
Just one moment. For the record, just public, the 872nd Street girls was proposed as the chair mentioned, so we're gonna figure out how to get the next slide.
So, this project was, approved by the, Near West Design Review on September 11th. We have received email of support from Councilman Harsh, and a letter of support from the building owner. And I'll speak in after, they finish their, presentations, but I just wanted to say those things, and that we're shut about home, get finances mural.
So, before we get into the presentation, I just want to say thank you all to the members. My name is Connor Brentnar, I'm the development coordinator at Brooklyn CDC. We've been working on this project for about 3 months now, in coordination, with the small business as well as Mike. We're really happy that, we decided to go with him because, he's done a lot of really great work, and so, we think that this project will really capture the essence of what Brooklyn is, the neighborhood. So we can show that presentations to you.
Yeah, I'm Mike Sobek, mural artist. I've been here before. But yeah, the Brooklyn CDC set this up, and I worked with the owner of Bush Funeral Home. We kind of went back and forth and came up with ideas. I think we can just keep moving through the slides so you can see where this is going. But it's.
Through the chair, there's a bit of a delay. Okay, you may want to
I'll pass it
consider.
around.
Yeah, so it is more towards the center of Old Brooklyn, but the mural says welcome to Old Brooklyn. It's south facing. And I think it's still on the outskirts enough where it makes sense, like you're entering downtown. So.
Pretty straightforward. We're good. I'm not sure we need more than that, to be honest.
Okay.
Unless anyone does not like it or like going.
It's just kind of like a fun,
Yeah.
positive thing.
Love the draft.
Yeah.
That's why they're doing.
The zoo.
The zoo.
Yeah.
I love it, actually.
Yeah,
It's-
there's a bike shop nearby, and then there's a farmer's market nearby. Try to incorporate all these little details that kind of like, that's something that you do with the things that happen in the area.
Is that your neighborhood? Oh, this is Erica's neighborhood. Thank you. You want to make a motion? Yeah, I really love it.
Thank you so much. I'd love to make a motion, to support the mural at 4326 Pearl Road in Oklahoma.
Second.
Motion and a second, call the roll.
Anthony,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Gary Scott,
I have to abstain again. I couldn't see it.
Okay, we couldn't either. Good.
I do want to say real quick, I know you're taking
Hold on.
motion.
Sergeant,
Yes.
Slide. Yes. Thank you.
There were a couple of conditions for the Near West Design, which was verified today. I think it says 1818 now. I believe it should say 1814 established. And they also wanted to extend the floor and grasses down below the line on the wall.
That's what they showed here.
Yeah, but they want to extend it down.
Yeah, so the, under that, form, sort of.
Got it. I love that part of this. That goes through this. Cool. All right, and you guys are okay doing this. You're painting it.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's not gonna be a wrap, but.
No.
Okay. All right, good luck. I can't wait to see this one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really cool.
Madam Chair,
Yep,
I see it now.
I know. We apologize. There are real technical difficulties.
I know, I
Uh-oh.
know.
So,
That's okay.
The one thing, we could have Xavier send you the link to the actual presentations that we get in advance, so you could maybe open them too. Because we still have a few of our items, so we'll see if we can do that in case this continues.
Yeah, we had, we had problems with Dropbox this week. We all somehow got deauthorized, so that's some problems. We're working on it.
Yeah, okay. All right, next one is, okay, this is Stoke West Game of Jack Sculpture. This is at 10723 Cedar Avenue. Welcome. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. That you shall answer to the penalty of perjury. Tara, you go first again?
I'm gonna let them go and then I'll make my comments right after.
Okay, go ahead. It might not work even if you press the arrow to the right, but if that's what you do, but it can't guarantee that it'll work.
So I might just give you a little heads up.
And this time we'll let you, Tara, get the designer to come on, because I think there will be some, right? Yeah, okay.
To orient yourself, this is a site plan of Stokes West. Stokes is on the bottom of the screen. We are on the left and East 107th on the it shows the site plans of the two art plazas on either side that kind of wrap from Stokes to Cedar and Stokes to East 107th. The lower plan shows the locations for the sculptures. So there's sculpture on each plaza with the scattering of smaller sculptures to link the two sides. Ron Shawn, who's joining me, and Jerry Stewart are the artists for this. The concept was a Tabano symbol, which is a symbol that represents strength, hard work, and persistence. It also kind of looks a bit like a jack. And so taking that inspiration, there is going to be a girl playing a game of jacks. Jacks spread throughout and etched Tabano symbols to kind of reflect back to the kind of full circle way this is going. So what we're looking at is on the Cedar Stoke side, a 4-foot tall bronze sculpture with Tina and Tina surfaces. On and oversized jacks that are about 21 to 24 inches in diameter. On the Stokes East Henderson side is a 3-foot painted jacks ball, again with jacks, and you see those jacks will be scattered across the Stokes frontage. And then etched Tamano symbols in the concrete at both plazas. So this is how we're showing the Tamano symbol. It's going to be sandblasted in the concrete on the plaza. There's 10, again, keep playing with that idea of the jacks, 10 of those symbols on the Stokes, on the Peter side, and 10 on the east side. This is Stokes and Cedar. You can see the location in the blue of where the figure will be located. This is Gary Stewart had created the sculpture. You can see 2 different views of a girl that is engaged in playing with jacks. The jacks will be oversized, the ball is oversized in relationship to the actual game. Oh, it's the other side. Can we skip one?
You said bronze?
Yes, bronze. So this is fine. The other side has the ball. I don't know why that's not there, but this is still back at the Stokes and Cedar side, a more realized version of it. You can kind of see all the way in the back that there's concrete benches, and that will happen on both sides as a place for people to sit and enjoy, rest. And then I think on the next slide we show the benches and the lighting. Insulation. Concrete footer. They're gonna pour a nice kind of pad for it so that when we get on site, we can actually position the sculptures as they make the most sense. So the different steps for the different objects. And the pieces that are in the landscaping, which is along the Stokes frontage, as well as some on both plazas. There is going to be footer for the jacks to go into, but still having a mulch bed, so it's installation plan.
Alright, before we go, we'll let Chad make some comments first.
This was approved by Eco Corridor Design Review Committee yesterday. We did receive a letter of support from Council President Griffin, who stated that this will enhance the experience of the corridors, that the development team worked with his office, UCI, who's represented here by Lisa Walensky, and we also received support from their organization. And they also work with Fairfax Renaissance Development Corporation, community members. One of the artists is here today, Ron Shelton, is actually the neighborhood resident. And Council President also mentioned the Jackson Honor cultural traditions of the community. And we had a game night in Fairfax Nation where people had this nostalgic experience of playing jacks, and then they introduced it to the new generations also for the game night. And the theme symbol have on Rich Christie symbolizes hard work, strength, business. Council President said those values, as well. I am in support of this as well. It's
I agree. I actually love one. Not a conflict. I'm a huge Ferris Stewart fan too. One of his watercolors in my office. My person. But I love this. I love how recently he's gotten his culture. Anything you want to say?
Actually, this game was a reflection of my childhood memory. We played jacks regularly with my mom, and just sort of, I just had a concept of analog. I think we need to go back to sort of reverse digital age. So hopefully the jacks game will be mobilized in the community. I sort of conducted a game line into Fairfax. We would like to have a jacks tournament during the opening. So I think people really, I had neighbors on my porch. They never come in my porch before, and they kept all playing jacks. And the older people really have fond memories of the game. So I think, and the youth were also really excited about it. I'm just excited about the concept.
I move for approval of the Stokes West theme of Jack sculpture at 10723 Cedar Avenue.
A motion and a second. Also, I love the collaboration. The multi-artist collaboration is pretty cool too. So I'm sure it was a great process. Call the roll?
Anthony,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
McCray Scott,
Yes,
Sergeant recused, and Flood.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Can't
you.
wait. How soon will, you gotta start making it now, but.
Yes.
Uh,
We're looking at July 25th.
Okay. Oh, so soon.
Soon.
Construction is going so fast.
It's going fast.
Okay. If it's okay, I'm gonna, go to the ones, the far west and the mandatory, and then we'll go back to the informational one. We have time, but I just wanna make sure. So we are approving, a new design review member nomination, Erica Cinderello from OHM to the far west. Anything you wanna say about this?
I don't know if I have too much to add. I believe Erica Cinderello is online. She is, I believe, a Ward 11 president, our west side, and planner, on her master's in real estate planning, now works for OHM. So great addition.
Erica, you're on. Thank you for the service. I know you get no pay for this, so, we know it's a lot of time. Anything you want to say to the group?
The chair, looks like she might not.
Okay. We have a motion to add, Erica to, what again, Far West.
So moved.
We're adding Erica to the Far West. Second? Second. The other Erica, second. Call the roll.
Anthony,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
McCray Scott,
yes,
Sergeant,
Yes.
Flood.
Motion carries. With two mandatory referrals. Well, actually, three mandatory referrals. The first one is ordinance 9362024. This is authorizing the Director of Capital Projects to issue a permit to Apartment 92, the Apollo. And this is to encroach on the right of way on Riverbend and Superior. It's for ADA.
Let's see if Assistant Director Chambers.
And we'll go to the third one because James is here. Oh, wait. This is a bonus for you, Commissioner, to on the screen. Ordinance number 9902024. This is authorizing the mayor and commissioner of purchase of supplies to sell city-owned property no longer in use. 105th and Churchill Avenue to NRP Group.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you.
So, this piece is, about land transfer for the second phase of Churchill Bay. Our project is also known as the Ravens. I'm providing, handouts to, Commissioner members. I'm sorry for, these, I didn't see it, but you'll see some of these maps, later in the presentation. The handout is, it provides 3 maps, and so this is just sort of to give some context and to point you to the location. So the first map that's in front of you shows the actual parcel that we're transferring to the 4 Churchill in phase 2. So what this was the former Harry D. Davis Street site. Originally, there were 34 parcels, and we worked within our since back around 2019 before the legal transfer information, which is to redevelop this site. There's demolition of the Harry D. Davis Street. There were 34 parcels. Those parcels were consolidated and then split into 3 parcels. So what you're seeing here on this map are phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 parcels. Phase 1 is parcel 81, And that's, and I'll show you policy. What it did was allow for the building on the first phase, it's 52 unit, low income housing tax credit, multi-unit building with, services for residents, in the building itself. And the NLP will talk further about that. And then what we did with the policy, we said it's an odd shape, is because we also cut what we call the C block. Because the block extended to East 105th, between Churchill and Orville Avenue, all the way to 110th. So the NLP actually built the streets that would cut the block so that it would show the connection from to the streets. So what we're here today for is a parcel that's highlighted in yellow, which is parcel B1, which is 12001.4, City of Cleveland parcel. The Department of Community Development wants to transfer that to the NLP, sell it to the for phase 2 of the Churchill Neighborhood project. Along with that, there's a parcel, a small parcel just to the left, which is on the west side of the highlighted parcel. That's a land bank parcel that will also transfer to the NLP as part of this phase 2. So the second page shows what the site currently looks like. It was again the former Harry Bailey School site. To the south, you'll see the phase 1 building, Churchill Gateway, and then to the north is the vacant land with build space. And then to the right of the street is now phase 2. And the third page is just a zoomed version. So with that, we have a couple of representatives from the NLP online.
I do have a question.
So,
you need a motion for the vote? Or is it included in here?
well, they actually, if you need to see the building and there's any information on what's actually built on the site, because they'll be back.
Yeah, they'll be back. Don't get to that. Okay. But we are approving both, so the yellow and the land bank lot.
No, the land bank lot has separate ordinance.
Has separate ones, okay, so just the yellow. Okay.
So I will move approval of ordinance 992. Second.
Motion and second, call the roll.
Anthony,
Yes.
Harry,
Just out of an abundance of caution, I don't have any plans on this, but, someone abstained, just because, representative from NRT is on Clean Foundation Board for that matter. I'm abstaining.
McCray Scott,
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes.
and Slide.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, thank you. I assume that, Rick, you are representing, Assistant Director on the other two? Thank you. So the first one is, ordinance number 9362024, authorizing the Director of Capital Projects to issue a permit to Apartment 92 the Apollo to encroach on the right of ways of Riverbend and Superior. This is for a new entry, egress stair, a ramp, and viaduct. Encroachment.
You see it?
Good to
It's
see you.
nice to be back here for 3 months.
How you doing?
Good, still getting around at this point in time. That's always a challenge, but we'll get there. We like to hold this.
You look good. There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, we'd like to hold this one. We asked for some additional information with the renderings of the, and the shared with the things that we received. That's no everything. So
It's a really to postpone.
I move to postpone 936.24.
I second.
Motion and second, call the roll.
Anthony,
Yes.
Harry.
Yeah.
McCray Scott,
Yes.
Sergeant,
Okay.
Slide.
Yes.
Someone want to grab them out there?
The last one is, ordinance 9582024. This is declaring the intent to vacate the remaining portion of Sherman Court.
That's correct. Go to the next slide, please. You can see from this diagram, the red matched area is Sherman Court at page 2. The gentleman that is asking for this vacation of all those properties except that very small one. Its intent is to build a warehouse and bring a fair amount of stuff to get us to this location. We have Councilman Stars sent on this, and we can have the.
Who owns the small property?
Have to be named here.
Okay.
But it runs onto the
Yes.
79, so it doesn't matter, right?
Have they been
Negotiating with them to find that project. We're consolidating everything there and just waiting for that last parcel.
But that last parcel runs on 79, right?
So,
Yes, it is.
Just without that parcel, that they get small.
Yeah.
yes.
I will move approval of 958.
Second. Motion and a second. Call the roll.
Anthony,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
McCray, Scott,
Yes,
Sergeant. Slight.
Yes.
Motion carried. All right, thank you. We're gonna go back since we finished everything that, and go to the group home presentation. This is, just for information only. And so Janet's gonna lead this. It's gonna go, you can start and go very quickly to the restroom.
I will go very quickly. For you. And I'll just give these out because I know that. I'm watching. So you can see this and. It makes sounds few unboxing terms based on code on this.
Yeah,
I'll come back quickly.
Yeah.
It was last updated a long time ago, so, and I'm also gonna use this map. Just so you can tell, it's not very clear because I wanted it on the paper. But nonetheless, here we are.
Gentlemen, were you here to listen to this presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
I want to make sure that you weren't, there wasn't something else that had been on the agenda and you were waiting, like, where's our thing?
Yeah, I was about to say.
Love a good heat map.
All right, so, the director asked me to put something together because, these group homes you all had really seen a conditional use for it, at least in the time that I've been here for now almost 7+ years. And so in the last year, we've definitely seen an uptick in the amount of residential facilities coming through the city of Cleveland, just across the board. There's pretty much every single week at BTA, we're looking at 1 to 3 group homes that need a variance of some sort. And so the conditional use, this ordinance was put in place in 2016 in alignment with what state permitted. That was, to allow for the 1,000-foot buffer, to make sure that the whole purpose of that 1,000-foot buffer is because of trying to prevent saturation in our residential community. So when you have a more of an institutional use, they want that to be able to integrate. So on one hand, you want to take the clients out of the institution and put them in the community, but you also want the community to not, become institutional, right? The residential neighborhood districts. And so the 1,000-foot was put in place, and then as well as the speed limit. So every single large residential facility that comes through the city of Cleveland, it is first permitted in multifamily, but it has to receive a conditional use for this commission. And that was requested by the council at the time, as well as I believe the commission, really to have a look more at the community, how are we integrating the residential facility, this larger institutional use into our 1, 2, and mostly multifamily. They are in a single family or 2-family, they also need that variance. And so what you'll see here is just the definition of residential facility as we define it. And it's pretty much for a Class 2 facility for the state of Ohio. So essentially, it means a publicly or privately operated home or facility licensed pursuant to state law that provides accommodation, supervision, and personal care services of any of the following: one or two unrelated persons with mental illness, one or two unrelated adults who are receiving residential state supplemental payments, and then 3 to 16 unrelated adults. And so you can see that's pretty much that definition from ORC 5119 as it pertains to a class 2 facility. Now, there's also class 1 and class 3 facilities, but pretty much 80% of the facilities that are coming, the requests coming from the city of Cleveland is a class 2 facility. Now, what you see on this chart is I broke this down with Richard was part of me back when I first started in terms of what exactly is a group home and how do we know what is a group home. But a lot of times an application just says adult group home or adult family home. And so if we're talking about, you know, a group of women or men from domestic violence that are living together and sharing living spaces, or if they're getting some kind of money from Veterans Affairs to open a veterans home, those are not state licensed residential facilities for the code. That is treated more like a multiple dwelling or like a rooming house. So that's in multi-family first for the day. If they're being sent to a home as to live out part of their sentence from the border parole or something of that sort, that's considered a correctional halfway house. And those are first permitted in general retail districts. So when we're talking about adult family homes, adult group homes, anything that is 1 to 5, that's considered under our code as a small residential facility. And then anything 6 to 16, that's considered a large residential facility. And so, as you can imagine, adjudicating these can be difficult, and you have to kind of bear that line and make sure that we're not crossing over any state standards or federal standards as it relates to their housing. And so some of the questions that we ask to kind of navigate this is oftentimes it's just a blanket application, group home. It doesn't even say how many residents. So we ask them, you know, are any of these being sent as part of their sentencing? Is this a state licensed facility? Because as we know, not all are actually state licensed under that class 2 range. How many clients we have at any given time of the night and day? This is really important so that we can determine, you know, is it a small facility or is it a large facility? What are the exact types of services being provided? So some of the things we're looking at is, are you providing counseling on site? Are you providing a doctor or a nurse on site? Are you providing any kind of therapy, rehab services? This doesn't include, you know, they're talking about like drug treatment and everything like that. Because class 2 group homes allow the owner or the manager, if you will, to supervise medication, meaning you put your medication in a cupboard, lock it up, and when we visit the home, because it doesn't require 24-hour supervision, we dispense it or we hand it to you and make sure you take it. And then we lock it up while we're not here. But if there's an actual medical professional on site administering the medication, that's a little bit different. And then we also look at the number of employees at any time, a given time of day or night, or whether there's 24/7 supervision. And this is really to determine, even though it's not required, is how many additional people are we going to have at this home, you know, coming and going if need be for the different shifts, right? And that speaks to the how are we integrated with the community? Are there going to be, you need parking or, you know, things of that nature? Is that going to be an issue? We also ask if it's a detox center, and that's really to determine whether this is, you know, a drug treatment home, and that's separate than just a typical class 2 home, and that has different restrictions. And then will the clients be allowed visitors? That also speaks to, you know, some of these homes are allowing visitors to come, and a lot of complaints that come into the city are it's people day and night loitering around these homes with nothing really to do, and they're just hanging out, and they have visitors. And it's causing problems for the other residents in the home and the residents in the neighborhood. And that's really just speaking to the community so we can get any information. And then will the center have van or bus for transportation needs, or the clients be responsible for everything? Again, if these clients have their own transportation, where we put in those vehicles, or if they need to get to their various appointments or things of that nature, or looking at the lane during the day, are you providing a van to help get these clients there, or are we near public transportation and have that to go out, right? And so when we're thinking about conditional use requirements for you all, for these 6 to 16 large residential facilities, we didn't find them. The first thing is it within 1,000 feet of another residential facility? If it is not, then the standard is the architectural design, site layout of the home, and the location, nature, and height of any walls, screens, and fences, are they compatible with the adjoining land uses and the residential neighborhood? So essentially, you're looking at whether this facility is it truly institutional in nature, are they in a home? And if they're in a home, is the home, is it capable of, the person's obviously the applicant is limited to occupancy based on the square footage. So how many people you can have in a bedroom is, you get so much square footage per person according to the state. And then the facility meets all applicable other yard parking, sign regulations, and then. And so some of those things to consider as it relates to the compatibility within the community would be, thinking about, like I said, what are the, not only where is it located? These are the 1,000-foot buffers. This looks really like low in a sense, in this particular ward, but this is where the 1,000-foot buffer lines are. But the things to think about are, are we close to public resources or private resources for residents that are going to be living in these homes? We have a park and libraries, facilities, institutional facilities for medical appointments, and things of that nature. And is there public transportation available if these applicants or these clients do not have their provider providing that transportation for them? And so the next thing I wanted to look at, or that we wanted to look at, is considerably, as I told you, we have these coming through PTA. At this point, it used to be maybe once a month, once or twice a month. Now it's at least 1 to 3 every single week. And so, there's some frequent flyers of the council members that come each week, and specifically Ward 9 pre-pandemic was where the most facilities at that time were. And at that point, I think there was 20. And so it's interesting to see that that's gone down. Ward 9 makes a little bit of sense because you have a lot of these institutions there. With the VA and things of that nature. But again, so right now, the highest that we have here is in Ward 4 and Ward 15, and just going down. And so just giving you an idea of where these residential facilities are, we have created, are creating maps for each ward like this. So Ward 1 is the only one. Kayla here is working on the maps for every single ward. Because I know a lot of council people are asking about them, especially the more often it is the wards are moved. And then this is just a heat map to give you an idea of what that looks like in terms of the how many facilities are existing within that 1 mile buffer in this map. And so you can see it's really kind of interesting where they're located in terms of if you were to compare this to maybe an income map or a racial map in the city. You can also tell there's not a lot of housing probably through the industrial ballot, so there may not be an option to have as many homes, or just in terms of the housing stock as well. And so what we're seeing with a lot of the larger facilities are obviously we have the larger homes throughout the city, less than the old still. So with that, again, these are your conditional use requirements and come before you and things to consider. And with that, I'll take it.
So this is for information.
Yeah.
You're not changing anything.
I am not changing anything, but I know there would seem to be, the director asked me to put this together, so there seemed to be you guys hadn't seen additional use requests for group homes. And I know that there's about 5 more that we're trying to in a couple of weeks. So just to give you some more context of what we're looking at and what the intent of this legislation was, like.
And you'll kind of follow each, like they come in like this and show us different data.
Yes.
I do have a couple questions, and I know you went through all this, but just help me explain or understand. Something like Laura's home, the women's shelter on Purvis, is not considered a group.
It's not considered a state licensed residential facility. We treat that more as like a rooming house or a boarding house, if you will.
Okay, and so can you just, I guess, I'm interested in kind of who are the applicants you characterize the applicants since there's been a surge. Could you characterize like the residents that are seeking to serve? And then what's like the average occupancy? Roughly.
Yeah,
Because I think that, like Glenville sort of makes sense, all those are big homes.
Yeah.
But there's parts of town like I'm thinking like southern parts of like West Park where there's just a lot of like 2-bedroom houses, doesn't seem ideal.
You're gonna get them 1 to 5 in those areas, so they work. So the majority of the ones coming to Board of Zoning Appeals are the small residential facilities,
Okay.
1 to 5. We've seen this come in a variety. You have somebody that lives there and they want to take in, 5 residents, because it's just the way we go. You have other people that are seeking their investment companies, seeking out properties across the city, and that's when you see these larger residential facilities. I think that's kind of what triggered some of the concern is that they're seeking these out and rather than turning them into housing options, they're turning them into working with a local person to open a group home. There's significant money to be made, I've been told by these Adams Board, obviously, if you're doing it properly and running a group home properly, and you're, providing the services and, you're really doing it, you're gonna break even on 1 house. But once you start getting more homes, that's where the business part of it can come in. And so, because for each client that you bring to your home, you're charging them basically for you're getting a certain amount of money for the client based on their classification.
Yeah, and the classifications, like the state licensure is for like rehabilitation services or like, this is not like me and my 2 buddies rent a house
Oh, yeah.
with 3 bedrooms. Is that
Yeah,
theoretically supposed to be but that would just like be a state license? I've always heard that technically, like people with roommates are sort of in violation of zoning code because they're not a family unit.
No, that's the
I
family
don't know if that's
definition
just a
change.
rumor, okay, but I'm trying to kind of suss out, like, and especially since there is this hyper concentration in these areas, like, why are they, well, maybe because price points are lower, but who are they seeking to serve, and are there concerns that they're like, I'm sure residents are worried about, crime and loitering, rightfully or wrongfully, that's what
Yeah,
we're
I mean,
here, so I'm just
rightfully
trying
or
to understand it more, yeah.
So to open a residential facility, you don't need a degree of any sort. So if you wanted to, you take a class, I mean, some companies offer, there's consultants that help some folks get this on board. But you really only need to take a class through the Adams Board, or certified Adams provider. And it's not a long class, it's about, I think it's like a weekend class. And then you seek out, how to find a home, and then in the process of trying to get your class 2 license with the state, you need to make sure that the state of Ohio knows that Cleveland has the zoning restriction, the zoning approved. And then once you open, they send out an inspector to make sure that you have, the proper facilities, like the square footage is proper, your medication is locked up, things of that nature. So just making sure they check off all of those restrictions under the 511 0, if you will.
And to expand on your question about who the clients are, at the time that we receive the applications, we don't necessarily know.
Well, that's how we ask those questions. But the clientele should be mentally, what's defined under a residential facility. So that this definition here should be, but a lot of times the questions that are being asked, obviously we have to figure out whether this is, is this a continuance of your sentence to finish, right? That's a totally different, and it wouldn't be marked for resident. For the state licensed facilities themselves, or this class 2 definition that you see here, it's basically providing supervision and personal accommodations and personal care for 1 or 2 unrelated people with mental illness, 1 or 2 that are receiving payments under the state supplement program, and 3 to 16 unrelated adults. And so they're really along that spectrum of the developmental disabilities and mental illness.
Not like a juvenile.
A juvenile group home is exempt from this.
You weren't here when we saw the one in Costco.
I was.
I think that.
Well, like my brother lived in the Toledo area and there was, across the street, but it was all with, developmentally disabled adults.
Yeah.
Things like that, essentially.
Yeah, those are the ones that have been, I would say 90% of the ones that are coming.
It'll be interesting to see as we start to see more coming.
Yeah.
You'll help, I walk us through that.
I would like to make a note, Emily Collins, who also presents Leon. She's our senior policy advisor on a lot of housing issues. She actually did a deep dive with us where there was a Supreme Court case at the federal level in the late 90s, that essentially wanted to deinstitutionalize a lot of like mental facilities and encourage people to move into neighborhoods so that there was neighborliness and support. And then, I think one interesting question is you see like concentrations in neighborhoods, that it's just a philosophical question. It's like any question is, the purpose is to deinstitutionalize the make people in the fabric of the neighborhood. We're seeing greater concentrations. Is that we institutionalize that? So I think, we don't have an answer to that. We're just asking questions to see how our neighborhoods are being, and making sure that people have us what we need.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thanks for all this, the great work you do.
I appreciate it. Thank
Which
you.
is really great. All right, we have a director's report.
Okay. I will mention that we do have a subcommittee meeting right after this. And we will be doing a few sessions about the rules of the planning commission, and we will record that.
Thank you for this.
And
Those on the committee, thanks for your service. All right, meeting adjourned.
I was doing comments that.
Oh my gosh. Oh.